Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. This time, we're traveling back to ancient China.
Ancient China, always a good time.
Always a good time, right? And today, we're going to zero in on the reign of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor.
Ooh, he's a fascinating figure.
Yeah, I mean, he's known for, unifying China, the Great Wall, standardizing weights and measures.
Big accomplishments, huge.
Huge, exactly. But we're going to kind of sidestep those achievements this time.
Oh, okay.
And instead, focus on a year that's, well, a little bit spooky, to be honest.
Spooky. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. 211 BC, a year full of bad omens, mysterious events, like stuff that even a modern skeptic might raise an eyebrow at.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So to help us unpack all of this, I've got an expert in all things Qin Dynasty with us today.
Well, I wouldn't say all things, but I do know a thing or two.
So before we jump into the, the year of bad omens, can you set the stage for us a bit? Like, what was the situation with the first emperor and his dynasty at this point in time?
Right, so it's important to remember that while, yes, the first emperor was powerful, his dynasty, the Qin Dynasty, was still pretty new.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's almost like, if you think of it like building a tower too quickly, like the foundation might not be strong enough, you know?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
There were likely tensions, like bubbling under the surface.
Okay, so tensions are simmering, and then, bam, 211 BC hits, and things get weird.
Okay, lay it on me. What kind of weird are we talking about?
So our first stop on this deep dive is something called the Yinghua Shou Xin event.
Yinghua Shou Xin, all right.
What even is that?
So imagine this, right? You're looking up at the night sky and you see Mars. But Mars is doing something kind of freaky. It appears to be moving backward near the Xin constellation.
Backward, like in reverse.
Yep, like it's defying the natural order. And to the ancient Chinese, who were really into their astrology, this was a really, really bad sign for the ruler.
Whoa, that's not a good omen.
No, not at all. It was seen as a potential foreshadowing of, like, their downfall. Like something big and bad was about to happen.
So, like, the universe is sending a telegram saying, watch out, buddy.
Pretty much. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Modern astronomy tells us that, well, that Ying Huo Shou Xin thing probably didn't actually happen that year.
Wait, what? So it's like a fake bad omen?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, were ancient astronomers just, like, really bad at their jobs? Did they miscalculate? Or was this event maybe, embellished later to fit a certain narrative?
Ooh. Okay, so we're already diving into conspiracy theories.
Love it.
Okay, so we've got a potentially fake bad omen for the emperor, but it doesn't stop there. Next up, a meteorite. And not just any meteorite.
Right. This one lands with an inscription. And get this, the inscription reads, "When the first emperor dies, the land will be divided."
Whoa. Talk about dramatic timing.
Right. It's almost too perfect. And you can imagine the kind of impact that would have on people, right? Especially if they were already kind of nervous about the future of the dynasty.
Oh, yeah. That's going to fuel some anxieties for sure. Did people back then believe it was a real, genuine prediction?
Oh, absolutely. It played right into those existing fears, like, perfectly. But the first emperor, he wasn't just going to sit back and let this prophecy simmer.
Oh, I bet he didn't. What did he do?
His response was, shall we say, swift and brutal. He had everyone living near the meteorite executed.
Executed, wow.
And then, to really drive the point home, he had the meteorite itself burned, like totally obliterated.
So, like, trying to erase the prophecy by eliminating anyone who saw it.
Exactly. But, it's kind of like trying to plug a hole in a dam with your finger. It might work for a second, but the pressure's just going to keep building.
Yeah. It seems that the opposite might have happened, right?
Exactly. Instead of quelling fears, his actions probably just amplified them. It's a classic example of, like, when you try to control the narrative too tightly, it can really backfire.
So this whole incident, whether the prophecy was real or not, it really kind of reveals a lot about the first emperor's, ruling style, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. It shows that tension between, absolute power and needing the support of the people.
Yeah. Okay, before we move on to the next crazy event in this year, I gotta ask about this whole Ancestral Dragon title that's associated with the first emperor. What's the deal with that?
Ah, yes. The Ancestral Dragon. It's a title loaded with, layers of meaning. On one hand, it was meant to elevate him, connect him to this mythical lineage of power.
Okay, so propaganda boosting his image.
Right. But then you look at it through the lens of these events, like that inscription on the meteorite, and it takes on a whole different vibe.
Ooh, yeah, I see what you mean.
It becomes kind of ominous, doesn't it? Like a warning sign?
So the ancestral dragon could be seen as a positive or a negative, depending on how you looked at it.
Exactly. And that really speaks to how precarious things were for the dynasty at that time.
Wow. We're only 2 events into 211 BC, and already it's clear this is a pivotal year for the Qin Dynasty. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh, buckle up. It's about to get even more intriguing.
All right, so we've got a potentially fake celestial omen and a meteorite with a very direct message. What could possibly top that?
Well, if that meteorite was like shaking the foundations of the dynasty, this next one, this is hitting at the emperor's core beliefs.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What are we talking about here?
We're talking about the Jade By Incident.
The Jade By Incident. All right, set the scene for me. What happened?
Picture this, a messenger, right? He's on his way back to the capital, Xianyang,
Okay, Xianyang, got it.
and suddenly, boom, he's stopped on the road by a mysterious figure. This figure gives him a Jade By.
Hold on. For those of us who, aren't Jade By experts, what is a Jade By?
Right, of course. So a Jade By, it's this circular disc with a hole in the center. It was often used in rituals, like big, important ceremonies. It's a powerful symbol, especially in ancient China. Like, it represented heaven.
Okay, so this messenger's given this object with, deep symbolic meaning.
Exactly. And he's told to deliver it to the Haoqi Lord, along with a message.
Ooh, a message. Okay, what did it say?
It said, the Ancestral Dragon will die this year.
Whoa! Straight to the point.
No subtlety there. And then, just like that, the figure disappears, vanishes.
Okay, hold up. Haoqi Lord. Who or what is that?
Good question. It's thought to be a reference to a water god associated with this place called Haoqi, which was near the capital.
Ah, okay, so we've got the earthly and the supernatural all mixed up in this.
Right, like someone's trying to send a message using like both the physical and the spiritual realms.
So this messenger, he must be freaking out, right? He gets Xianyang, tells the first emperor all of this. How does the emperor react?
You'd think, right. I mean, this guy, he's known for being pretty ruthless. You'd expect him to be furious, maybe even scared.
Yeah, seems logical.
But according to the historical records, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
The first emperor, he's actually pretty calm. And he makes this weird comment. He says, the mountain spirit can only know things within a year.
What? It's like he's not even phased. Did he think mountain spirits were actually behind all this?
It's hard to say. It's almost like he's trying to downplay the prophecy, right?
Yeah.
Trying to rationalize it by connecting it to, like, the limited knowledge of mountain spirits.
Like, oh, it's just a mountain spirit, no big deal.
Pretty much. But there's a twist to this whole story. This Jade By, it wasn't just any Jade By.
Uh-oh, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
When they investigate, they discover something crazy. That Jade By, it was one the first emperor himself had used years earlier in a ritual when he was crossing the Yangtze River.
No way. So years ago, he uses this Jade By, and now it comes back with a prophecy about his death.
It's like something out of a movie, right? I mean,
Huh.
did he orchestrate this whole thing? Was it some kind of power play? Or was someone trying to, like, mess with him?
My mind is blown. What do you think?
It's one of those historical mysteries that just, like, grabs you. Was it a message from beyond? A political move? Just a crazy coincidence? We don't know. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It makes you wonder, what did the first emperor really believe?
I don't know about you, listener, but I'm getting chills. Coincidence, propaganda, supernatural forces at play. It's almost impossible to tell what's real and what's not. But even if we can't know for sure what was going on, these events, they tell us something really important about the times.
Exactly. Think about it. These stories, they spread. Whether they were true or not, people were talking about them. And that shows us a lot about the climate under the first emperor's rule. Remember, this dynasty, it was new, built on conquest. Change was happening fast.
So not everyone was thrilled with the new order.
Exactly. And these events, like that Jade By with its message, they gave people a way to, like, express their anxieties, question things.
So even if some or all of these events were made up, they still had a real impact.
Totally. They gave a voice to the dissent, to the people who weren't happy with the way things were going. It's a reminder that even in a time of absolute power, people find ways to resist.
Makes you think about the power of stories, right? How the things we tell each other, the things we believe, can shape the world around us. And in this case, the stories of 211 BC, this year of bad omens, well, they played a part in shaping the fate of the Qin Dynasty.
It all makes you wonder what stories are shaping our world today, and what role do we play in spreading them?
It's funny. I mean, even today, with all we know, all our science and technology, we're still kind of drawn to these ancient mysteries.
It's true.
Yeah, do you think that is?
I think it's because deep down we're all kind of looking for explanations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we want to understand the things that happen in our lives.
Mm.
And these ancient stories, they offer that. They provide a way to make sense of the chaos, even if it's through omens or prophecies or, beliefs that we might not subscribe to today.
I guess it makes sense, right? Like maybe we're hardwired to search for meaning, even if there isn't any.
Could be.
But in the case of the first emperor, these stories, whether they were real or made up, they had real-world consequences.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he died a few years after all this went down, and then boom, the Qin Dynasty collapses.
Yep. It all kind of unraveled pretty quickly.
So while we can't say for sure that those omens and prophecies were the direct cause, they definitely didn't help.
Right. They added fuel to the fire. They
Yeah.
created this atmosphere of unease, of instability that I think contributed to the dynasty's downfall.
It's a good reminder that even when it seems like someone has absolute power, things can change really fast.
Oh, yeah. Power is a fickle thing.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what do you think are the biggest takeaways for us today? I mean, we're not interpreting celestial omens anymore. But are there any parallels between, like, ancient China and how we deal with information and beliefs in our modern world?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about how quickly information spreads today, especially with social media.
Yeah.
Like rumors and conspiracy theories, they can go viral in an instant.
Right?
It's kind of like those omens and prophecies, right? They take on a life of their own and start shaping people's perceptions.
It's like that old saying, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in the wrong hands, information can be a powerful weapon.
It's a good reminder to, like, be careful what we believe, right?
Yeah, we need to be critical thinkers, to question the narratives we're presented with, and, we'll look at who's behind them, what their motivations might be.
Yeah, like, don't just blindly accept everything you see online.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an incredible journey
It has.
back to ancient China.
I always enjoy a good trip back in time.
Yeah, and we've learned so much about the first emperor, the Qin Dynasty, and the power of belief.
And the power of stories.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And how those stories, whether true or not, can shape our world.
And hopefully it's made you, the listener, want to learn more, explore these things for yourself.
That's what we hope for.
So to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back soon with another one. But until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.